Recording in progress.
Does Judge run this or does Dylan run this?
Judge runs everything.
Dylan,
Dylan's supposed to be coming though. He's supposed to be here.
I just talked to him. He said he was on his way.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, well. Like you said once, it's a posted meeting.
I'm like, your pro tem is here started if you want to.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. All right, this is a meeting of the Clinton County and the City of Waco joint meeting. It is 3 p.m., November the 6th. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, November 3rd, 2023 at 10:30 a.m.
All right, and y'all have a quorum, so.
Yep.
Somebody needs to call the city
So
to
we'll
order.
call the Waco City Council to order.
All right.
Come on in.
First agenda item is welcome the mayor.
Hey,
Yes.
Judge would say no slack. Thank you, sir.
Oh, goodness.
This is the earliest he's ever been late.
Damn.
That's right. I knew. I did not want to let you down, Judge, and I did still.
Appreciate it. Feel like I owe you now.
I was like, enter the chat GPT, Judge.
Okay, and I think we do have some folks video conferencing in, so welcome. All right, we have gone through the proof of posting, so discussion or action following, consideration and approval of the August 7th, 2023 summary notes. I don't know that I saw them. I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say approved is posted, but I will. So approved is posted. And number 2, discussion or update on expected April 8th, 2024 solar eclipse event. So our emergency management specialist and eclipse
Expert.
quick study.
Judge, he's promised us clear weather. I don't know how he's going to do it.
It'll be clear somewhere between here and the moon.
If I could predict the weather, I'd be a much wealthier man. Go ahead and pull that up. So while they're pulling that up, again, Judge Felton, Commissioners, Mayor Meek, Council members, thank you. Good afternoon. This is an abbreviated presentation of one that we've been giving for the last couple of weeks now. Several commissioners and city leadership as well have seen this presentation already. And the presentation here was based off county numbers. I have a separate city presentation with city-focused numbers. Be happy to share that with anybody who desires it. Should you need more information, we're happy to do that. Wait for these guys to get it up and we'll take you through. The idea of this presentation is to arm you with information largely based on information that we gained from other jurisdictions that experienced a similar total solar eclipse in 2017. That eclipse, while not as large as ours, made its way from the west to the east coast, and we reached out to a lot of jurisdictions that were involved, gained information from others, and really gained a lot of impressive lessons learned that I think are relevant to our community. And so the idea behind this presentation here really isn't necessarily a call to action. It's simply to arm you with the information that we have based on what we have it, so we can make the proper decisions of what we do when that will happen. So as you can see the presentation here, here's the eclipse kind of in the macro, where it is going to move all throughout the presentation. And so as we move forward, you will see a lot of information about chambers of commerce and businesses and things like that. A lot of the information here was adapted from a different presentation a colleague of mine gave to their chambers of commerce. So you'll see business and economics referenced in it, and that is why. So we'll go to the next slide. In the micro, this is going to be the path of the eclipse. Anything in between those two yellow lines is visible. The green line is the sweet spot. And as you can see, both the city and the county, we are very nearly one of the perfect places to see this. Next slide, please. So here's your duration, time of totality, meaning the amount of time that the moon will be in front of the sun and it will get dark. We don't have the most, but we're certainly in the top 5, the top 10. So we're looking at about 4 minutes. And I think it's important to realize that the 2017 eclipse that we will be speaking about The jurisdictions that experienced it for about half this amount of time. So the responses that you will see was for an eclipse of just a little bit over 2 minutes. That is relevant to this conversation. Next slide, please. If that plays, great. If it doesn't, it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't play, we can move forward. It's simply the path of the eclipse as it moves up from Mexico. As it gets further north, it speeds up, which is why jurisdictions have it less times than others. So if it doesn't work, that's fine. We can move on to the next one. My apologies. So here are those lessons learned. We can start on the next one, if you would, please. So Newberry, South Carolina, along these, you'll see the purple and green dots. They are the longest eclipse duration and the greatest eclipse. The stars along the track are where those cities were in relation to the maximum totality. Next slide. So Newberry is a town of about 30,000 people. They did have a 3-day-long Eclipse Fest event. They estimated that 30,000 visitors came to their jurisdictions. That is a 100% population increase of their jurisdictions. And you will find that to be a very similar number as we move forward. I won't go ahead and read every part of the slide, but they did have a large number of visitors to Europe. This is not a large jurisdiction. I think we can assume that that's going to happen here as well. Next slide, please. Marion, Illinois, in the southern part of the state, a former steel town. Next slide. Much smaller population, about 17,000. Again, they had 50,000 visitors in their community. That's more than a 3 times population increase. Their restaurants were full for days leading up to the events. People were coming in about 3 to 4 days ahead of time, and all of the problems that incurred. Parks were full, and of course there was a max exodus after the event. 5-hour drives took up to 18 hours. That's something that we're particularly concerned about within our community. Now, we have more arteries to get out of town than they did, but I think we can assume that our highways are going to be congested, to say the least. The next several slides, you can go through them at whatever rate you've heard. Those aren't the Marion traffic jams, but they are all traffic jams from the 2017 eclipse somewhere in the country. Their Chamber of Commerce is simply put, be ready for anything. And I think that's something that's going to be very much relevant for our jurisdictions as this eclipse moves across.
Can you be more specific?
That's not cryptic.
Our office, and unfortunately, no, we can't. I think any permutation of that many visitors opens up a real Pandora's box of potential issues that you get into one and 4 more pop up. So we're taking that very seriously and trying to come up with as many potential issues to try to get solved ahead of time as we can. Next slide, please. Bakers City, Oregon, very far away from the perfect point. Next slide. Another small town of 10,000. They did do 6 months planning. Again, 8,000 visitors, very nearly 100%. Parking lots, people sleeping in vehicles. They suggested to stock up on related merchandise. All the porta potties from having to deal with that many people in town. There were grocery stores were running out of supplies. So these are all potential issues. Next slide, please. Grand Island, Nebraska. Next slide. That's right. It's your neck of the woods. About 50,000 people, again, 100% of their community. Their hotels were full. They were charging 3-night minimum. Pop-up vendors all throughout the city. I think we can expect that here as well. They had a Walmart that had their people in their parking lots for several days, impromptu camps set up there, just trying to get a view of the sky. I think we can assume that just about any place in McLennan County with a field and a view of the sky is going to be a popular place to do that in. They sold out of every type of potential folding chair or anything eclipse related. They had a rough go of it. Next slide, please. Clarksville, Tennessee. This is much closer to the Waco population, about 175,000 people, but then again, we see the same sorts of things. Restaurants filled for days, campgrounds completely full. a 3 to 4 hour traffic jam after the eclipse was over, which by comparison isn't as extreme, but still potentially problematic. The lowest charging hotels were $400 a night, and we're already starting to see that in our communities. We are not 100% full. I'm probably the wrong person to speak on that. The Convention Center and Visitors Bureau will have better up-to-date information than I have at this time, but they're going quick. I think we can assume a very nearly 100% capacity on all of our hotels. Next slide, please. Carbondale, Illinois, another small town in the southern part of that state. No special events, but they do have a college campus. It's the home of Southern Illinois University, 50,000 visitors again. These keep seeming like pretty square numbers to think that they might have made them up. They most certainly did not. We spoke with them at length, my counterpart in that city. They came for 3 to 4 days prior. They set up shop early, heavy drain on their resources. Next slide, please. And finally, Columbia, South Carolina. This is kind of the nightmare scenario. Columbia only has about 140,000 people. There's about 400,000 in the county. They matched that, 400,000 visitors. They had over 120 eclipse-related events in their town. 80% of their ticket sales were from out-of-state folks. So I think we can assume that we are going to have a large amount of people that are from outside of our area, state, country, or otherwise. They really put their backs into putting a lot of different events on the ground. They had baseball games, they had city events, they had county events, they had every sort of event you could. And the idea behind that is to corral these masses into more manageable pieces rather than them running amok all throughout the city was kind of the way they put it. Next slide, please. Their Conventioners Bureau said that it was the largest economic impact in the history of the city. So Charleston, South Carolina is an old city. A lot of things have happened there for a long time. To say that that was the single largest impact is saying something. The next couple slides were taken, so what can we expect in our city? All of these things and more. This was the short list of things that we are planning for at the EOC to try to reach out to other jurisdictions and partners to try to fix. At the end of the presentation, we'll have more information on what we're doing about it at this point, but those efforts are underway. So the next couple slides are all pictures of events. This one in particular, minus the mountains in the background, that's the Waco Airport. Large amounts of land out there and any place that people can set up camps, so we're going to have to be intentional about what we do about that. Got pretty dark in Franklin, and then finally the last picture of it is what full totality looks like. Our totality a little more than 4 minutes. All of the jurisdictions you've seen here today, just a little more than 2. So here's really the long and short of it on the next slide. Most of my counterparts recommended up to 5 times our population to plan for. That's 1.3 million people. What's most likely is a doubling. So if a doubling, that is about 500,000 folks in the county. So the question we have to do is what does McLennan County, to include the city of Waco, look like if there are 500,000 extra people in it tomorrow? And all of the related issues that might cause. So that's kind of the base question that emergency management is looking at and kind of colors everything we do as we move forward. There were revenue opportunities. The city of Waco is doing a pretty good job of that already, so I don't need to beat that on. I've already spoken with other county jurisdictions. Some of them are having events, others not. I think their minds probably will be changed as we get closer to the event, but for Waco's events, I would reference Parks and Rec and the Visitors Bureau for more detailed information on that. Next slide, please. More jurisdictional issues, kind of a doubling of that slide, but this one came off of the county slide. Next slide, please. So what are we doing about it? Like I said, we have spoken with our jurisdictional counterparts in as many cities that would answer us that were along the line of that last eclipse. We began to host targeted meetings. These meetings were in 3 groups originally. The first was for internal City of Waco personnel. We had a really good turnout for that. That was last month, attended by division directors and a couple of other people. The second was for county-focused folks. Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Jones, thank you for coming out for that. Also, county personnel, division heads, sheriff's office, jurisdictional law enforcement, that sort of deal. And the third meeting, which is now on the books for the first or second week of December, I'm not sure which, is predominantly focused on ISDs, chambers of commerce, and other people who have private sector impacts of this sorts of events. The idea between these first three events, or what we're doing now, is simply to present the information. More meetings of this sort will be held over the next several months, and those will be more tactical in nature. We have, through the county, we have began to receive requests from other jurisdictions, Robinson and a couple of others, Bruce Valetti, things, to go out to their jurisdictions to brief their councils on this, just to present them with the information as we see it. As the day comes, in the lead up to the event, we'll be able to tell several weeks off what our capacity is going to be based on our hotels and our short-term rentals. And if it looks like that the community is starting to fill up to 5 days early, the EOC will activate. We're activated one way or another, it's just a matter of how much ahead of time. And we can do as much or as little as you'd like, but we're going to be watching and we'll be ready. Over the next couple of months, any jurisdiction who wants to hear the information is happy to contact our office. We're happy to go anywhere. And those meetings should begin as early as 2 weeks from now, if we can get that on the book. Next slide, please. So is there any questions I can answer at this time from anybody?
Looks like Gatesville and Killeen they've got a little bit longer time, so we could get some overflow. Not that we could need overflow, but.
There were stories of people chasing the eclipse. That's not actually physically possible. It's moving at about 1,300 miles an hour, so even in an airplane, you can't keep up with it. I do fear that because of our proximity to those areas, I think we're going to get it from both ends. Folks from the Metroplex will be coming south. Folks from Austin will be coming north. It wouldn't surprise me if folks from all over are coming, including out of the country. We have a lot of very attractive places to watch the eclipse, and we are in nearly a perfect spot.
Yeah, from Gatesville's perspective, they literally outside of fields don't have any of the capacity to take it. So even in the conversations I'd had with some of their city staff a few years ago, they were already saying we're gonna have to come to McLennan County.
Something that is relevant, we have a large event that we are co-hosting at Baylor University with the Lowell Observatory. There have already been hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tickets sold for that event, and more grow every day.
Goodness gracious. You gotta think, I'm sorry, Darius, you gotta think that a lot of people are gonna be coming up I-35 or down from Dallas or up from Austin. So we gotta be conscious of that.
That traffic.
Corridor, yeah, because some people just pull off the side of the road. Sure. Because those are the two giant populations that are gonna be coming our way.
Correct.
Be a lot of people parked on the side of the road.
Yep.
And that creates its own set of challenges, but we're doing everything we can to try to, from the extent that we can, work on what could happen there and what we can do about it.
I spoke with a couple of commissioners from Bell County last week. Yeah, there was a good presentation by the Texas AgriLife Extension. In Bell County, they're staging, they're setting up as if though it was a, a mass casualty event. And they're staging all their emergency, at the Expo Center. Now, the Expo Center is right next to I-35. So, it's just, they seem to have quite a bit of, they've got quite a bit of planning already done. You might want to just reach out to them.
Yes, sir, we can do it.
Since we are kind of in that same area.
I agree, that is prudent, we will do so.
I was just gonna ask, could we get this presentation emailed to us?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
A lot of really interesting information here.
It seems like communication is going to be really critical on this, and when I think about communication, it's any safety tips for our community that we need to distribute. It's where our public and or private events happening, and then also, it's something I think at the smallest level that we do want to communicate to our constituents is that we're doing this work. I appreciate the strategy that y'all have invested, and I think that it's really important that our constituents know that if it does get to be a very busy day in the county and there's frustration with traffic or just frustration that comes from an event like this. We want to make sure that people know that we've been as thoughtful as possible in contemplating how to approach this event. Are we planning to do? I know about the partnership with Baylor and Lowell and the city and Discovery. Are there any other like public events that are planned currently at park spaces? Or one of the things that they mentioned is they try to have multiple events to try to contain people, and I'm wondering if we want to make sure that we are diverting people to good, safe places, if that was a strategy that we heard and need to think through that, or in my head, McLean was going to be more than enough space for people to gather, but it sounds like that's probably not going to be the case. So I just want to be thoughtful about what is an actual event and what is we're going to open up Cameron Park and what is we're going to say, no, you can't set that tent up here. And I know that's all the things you're working through, but
Those questions have been asked. I can tell you there will be several city-focused events. For the specifics, I'm going to have to refer you to Jonathan Cook about that. He'll be able to speak about it more knowledgeably than I will. Those questions have been brought up. We've had long conversations with legal. Legal has been making other sorts of meetings already trying to answer those questions. We'll have further such meetings in the future, and I think that is correct. In our opinion, and it's an opinion statement, the more events we are able to pull off, the better we'll do.
Ryan, speak to the fact that communication will likely be overwhelmed, in particular, cell service.
So it's certainly possible. We don't know that for a fact, but it's nigh on likely that it will. Now, there are a couple of things we can do about that through state resources, and also in that third meeting, we've made some good contacts with all the major cell carriers. They bring on pieces of equipment that are called cells on wheels, which are basically trailer-based cell boosters. I think we're going to try to snatch up as many of those as we can. I think everyone along that 35 corridor is going to want some, so we're trying to make those connections as fast as we can to see if anything can be helped. We are working with city IT about what we can do to boost the cell system called FirstNet, which is ideally made for first responders. That puts them right at the top of the queue as far as cell is concerned. But yeah, there's going to be some significant challenges with that many people in town.
Did any of the other cities talk about, I saw the exorbitant parking prices. Did anybody talk about planning for that? I mean, because I would hate for somebody to wake up and it's 50 cars in their field or whatever, and then what do you do with that?
Sure. So I will say, to his credit, the chief deputy took that very seriously when we had that during the county meeting. Little less open space in the city, but there still is some. Most of that area is publicly or privately owned, rather. So I think it's going to have to be a really intentional communications campaign to those people. Essentially, they can charge what they want within the scope of the law. But that's going to be a challenge for sure.
Starlink has been very helpful in a lot of large events, and even we reached out to them when Officer Scaramucci went to Ukraine on human trafficking. They fitted him with a base station and numerous units that worked very well. And so we've got some contacts.
Yes, sir. We can certainly reach out.
I would say the same thing. If for some reason, not that it'd be beneficial, I don't know if it would be, but if even having requests come from the mayor letterhead or a county judge letterhead, and that's different, let us know how we can help.
Yes, sir.
Try to get those, as much of that cell boosting technology as possible.
Yes, sir. If there's a way that can be helpful, we will do so.
Some of those events that were planned were, if I remember you saying, were post-eclipse events to try to hold people so that everyone wasn't leaving at the same time, cutting down on the congestion, leaving out of the cities and so forth, counties.
Yes, sir. That is an effective strategy. And again, the purpose from our office is not to try to recommend policy, but there is a logic there. Keeping folks in town for another 1, preferably 2 days, lessens that flow. It's just like any other thing when you release pressure. Currently, I think our events at least for the city of Waco, end the day of the eclipse. And I know the planning of these things are endlessly complex, so I'm certainly not trying to tell those folks what to do, but that would be an effective strategy to try to manage that exit.
We might even think through ensuring some private sector nonprofit organizations or something are fully aware of these numbers as well. We had a cultural arts festival in Waco this weekend, and it was on city property, but it was a private event. And so are there any private industry partners that we want to make sure are aware of the potential visitors and revenue opportunities, frankly?
Yes, sir, there are. We have a list of them. That third meeting I had mentioned with the ISDs and the Chambers of Commerce, we do have some specific industry liaisons that we speak to on a relatively constant basis. HEB, Walmart, a couple of other large retailers of that sort. We've been receiving RSVPs from the various chambers of commerce. One of the asks I will have of them is to, hey, reach out through your context. They know the field, they know business much better than we do, but we fully plan on keeping them in the loop as the process proceeds.
I shared your presentation with some ISDs, and they've already decided that they're going to close school that day. I think we'll see more of them doing that.
Something I didn't mention during the presentation, but timing-wise, we're looking somewhere between 12:30 and 1:30 p.m. on the actual movement of the eclipse in. It wouldn't surprise me if other ISDs take that step as well.
So Ryan, I had to ask about the old football stadium. Have y'all decided anything on Floyd Casey property?
Yeah, we don't own it anymore. The developer owns it.
Okay.
They've started demolition of parking lots, and so
So it's
I'd say
private
it's-
property then, so it's
yeah,
not
I'd say it's
necessarily.
on our.
It'd be hard to, they've torn up the roads and it's not even, largely not able to.
There's still that old kind of field.
Track, Patterson track, yeah.
No, this is, there's a old parking lot that was just grass
Yeah.
on the back, as you're driving down Dutton,
Oh, on the same side,
on the right.
on the right side.
It's,
away
I
from
mean,
the
it's
field.
just grass.
So,
But that's the developer, that's private property now.
We might need to tell them anyway, just to give them a heads up,
You might want to let them know that.
whether they charge it. I think we should think through anybody who owns that much
Yeah,
or
large
less. Like if you
parking,
own
large parking lot.
a half block or more, then you need to be prepared for people that are gonna want to utilize your property, whether you utilize it as a business endeavor or just make sure that you're prepared for it, based on what I'm hearing.
Food truck people.
Make a judgment call on that.
All right, any questions?
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, next we'll have Mr. Mike Bolar come up and speak to us about the Ironman event.
Unfortunately, my event is not as big as that one. Well, I've got a presentation coming up. I've got a few printouts as well. If anybody wants a print off of the presentation, show of hand, does anybody want any?
Yeah, just pass it.
Here, mate, I'll pass it out for you.
Oh, 6. Yeah, I didn't know how many were coming. I apologize.
You good?
Yeah.
I'll share with Mr. Smith.
All right.
You gentlemen want to share?
Yeah, just put one right there.
Gentlemen? What's on here? One for the record?
Thank you.
Terrific. Well, thank you again for the opportunity to be able to come in and just kind of give a recap of our Ironman weekend a number of weekends ago. If you go to the second slide real quick, I'm going to just jump right into things. So this year we were able to also bring in Iron Kids. And so Iron Kids is essentially their youth running event. And so there's no swimming, there's no biking with this, but essentially any child from the age of 6 months to 17 years old can compete. And so this was a great way to be able to engage the community as well as those that were coming out of town and be able to, again, create additional entertainment for them. So part of that event, we were able to have what we call the Mascot Mayhem. And so you'll notice a number of local mascots that were able to participate. If you go to the next slide. You'll see some of the kids. So we had a full mile, a half mile, a 50-foot, and also a 26.2-foot crawl, so that is to replicate, obviously, the marathon distance. But we had a little over 240 participants, 17 of those, so we issued out surveys to all these participants. We got 17 responses. Obviously not a massive response rate, but at the same time, it was a difficult event to be able to quantify that data. With that, we were able to determine that a number of those were from, about a third were from out of town, I believe it was, and 2/3 were here local. Based on those surveys compared to the surveys that we also took for Ironman, we were able to determine that there's about 2.6 hotel night stays for the folks that came from out of town that participated in this event. This was honestly just a really fun event for the community, for those that were out there on Saturday morning. If you go to the next photo, or slide, that showcases the crawl for the infants. So we had probably about 4 infants that did the 26.2-foot crawl. It's a fun event, right? And it also promoted health and wellness. One of the participants is a local, and he said that in 2019, his daughter, at the time I think was 5, participated and did her first half-mile run. And this was going to be his son's first race that they got to do. And both of them finished, got their medals, and said that they wanted to sign up and do more races. And so that just shows us that we're creating those opportunities for the youth of the community, as well as those that are coming out of town, to be able to be engaged in great health. The entry fee for this race was $25, and so it's very, very entry level. All right, to the big event, we had Ironman 70.3. For those that may not be aware, in 2022, there were a number of constraints and challenges with our festival weekend. Last year in 2022, we had both the full distance, which is 140.6 miles, as well as the 70.3 race on back-to-back days. That created a significant strain on the local resources as well as on the roads. We also had 90-degree weather on the Saturday, and then absolutely heavy torrential downpour on that Sunday morning, which made it a challenge not only in the transition area with the millions of dollars of equipment, but also on the roads for safety for the bikers. That also led to the highest DNF rate, which is it did not finish. The record before that in North America was about 22%, and we finished at about 27 or at 28%. So not a record you really want to hold, and also very, very challenging to overcome that perception of our course. And so over the previous years, we've been challenged with different course designs that have made this course seem very, very challenging. And so obviously we want to be a friendly area and to be able to maximize the participation pool. And so based on a lot of feedback here locally and also with the city, we were able to redesign the bike course and avoid China Spring. And so working with Parks and Rec, we were able to redesign that. I've got a slide on the next, or a photo on the next slide, and we can jump back. This essentially shows that this route goes all the way down to through Robinson, and then is it Galinda, and then all the way back up. And so the course was a lot flatter for the participants, less turns, which is all something that these athletes want. The only thing that was out of our control were the wind gusts. There were wind gusts of 25 miles per hour headwinds, which was extremely challenging for the athletes. If we go back, so this year, besides the winds, it was great weather, about 72 degrees, perfect for all the spectators. Everybody had a great time, except for, again, when people were on the bike course, and that was just something that was out of our control. Leading into this event, we had heard that Ironman 70.3 Muncie, which is in Indiana, had about 700 or 800 athletes 2 weeks prior. Their Iron Kids had about 15 people signed up before the race and about 80 total. So, again, our race registration numbers for not only Iron Kids, but also Ironman were higher. Ironman 70.3 this year had just a little over 2,000 registered and 1,700 checked in, and we had 1,600 compete. Ideally, this number is closer to 3,000 for the registration pool. If you go to the next slides, here's a snapshot of the photo, or the medal there on the suspension bridge. Keep going, next photo. This shows at an Ironman Village, just getting the breakdown. That was at Indian Springs. Here we've got Pecan Bottoms and all the swimmers that are getting ready. The finish line. We can keep going through. This highlights some of our Team Waco participants on the slide previously. These are obviously the finishers. Here also are Team Waco participants, so I'll kind of briefly mention this. So Team Waco, again, is our scholarship program that we've created. Last year was the first year, so this was our second class that we were able to help and support. These are 5 county athletes and residents that wanted to be able to participate in the Ironman and had either a financial, a physical, or a mental hurdle. And so through partnering with different local businesses, we were able to put together these scholarships that total about $7,500 a piece. And so we're really proud all 5 of them were able to finish the race in time. Next slide. On the photo on the left, you've got Brian and his son in the orange shirt and the volunteer shirt. He's a special needs child, differently abled, and so both Brian and he held the finish line last year as volunteers, and his son said that he wanted to be an Ironman. And so Brian, the Team Waco athlete who's in his 50s, has never done a triathlon or any type of event like this, said, Caden, how do I tell you that you can't do it? And so Caden said, well, what about you? So how do you respond to your child at that point? So Brian started training with us and was able to compete. And guess what? Caden was there at the finish line with him, being able to give him a hug and embrace. And so that is what Waco is about. Brian is what embodies this community. And so we're just so happy that we were able to celebrate him. We also had some athletes from last year's Team Waco. Michaela there on the left-hand side. She was a volunteer captain as well as a participant in the races this weekend. And so just great to be able to cheerlead them on. Next slide. We were able to get great exposure not only for the Team Waco athletes, but for the program in general. Next slide. So this was the 4th year to host the 70.3 distance, and it's estimated to be anywhere between $6 to $8 million of economic impact. If you go to the next slide. So to come to these conclusions, we had to put together a survey. And so Ironman can send out a survey to its participants, but you never know what they're going to actually send out, what your response rate is going to be. And so the Sports Commission, we put together our own survey, and then I visited with Dan at the CVB to be able to make sure that these questions reflected some of the data that he was interested in as well. And so we manned a booth at the end of registration and check-in to ask any of the athletes that we possibly could, and we partnered with other different local businesses to be able to help try and provide incentives for folks to fill out those surveys. That being said, we were able to get, I believe it was 433 responses, so close to a 25% sampling of the participants. And so we're proud of that data collection. Essentially, a lot of you guys have this information in front of you. We don't have to go through each one of these slides. If you go to the next one, first time in Waco, proud to say, obviously, that's a very large group of people that this is their first time to be able to experience Waco. And so I'm really proud of that. Next slide. This showcases the best way to be able to showcase. There's not a heat map option with the survey, so I think that a word bubble blank like this is a really nice visual representation. Obviously, Houston, Dallas, a lot of the places that you would think, but also Colorado and other different regions across the country. Next slide. How many people are with you on this trip? This obviously indicates that you're coming with a group of people. Next slide. How many nights are you staying? This is based on their estimates. Next slide. Where are you staying? Again, being able to make sure that we're measuring if it's hotel stays or if it's other different locations or friends and family. Next slide. How much do you and your friends plan to spend on food while you're in Waco? Next slide. This was a question that Dan was interested in while in Waco. Which places do you plan to visit? Some of these were surprising to me in a really positive light. And so, of course, you've got Magnolia at the Silos, but again, you've got other different great places, like even the Mammoth site that had 8% of survey response. I would never have thought that the Ironmen that were coming in town would go out to the Mammoth area, but it's great to be able to reflect that data. Next slide. This is kind of a recap of, again, some of the highlights. So we had a little over 1,700 participants. We had over 3,300 hotel room nights based on the survey replies that we got. Economic impact, $6 million, money spent on food, $720,000. And then there was also the grants through Ironman for all the volunteers. So we had close to 1,300 volunteers from this community help with this event. And so with that, Ironman was able to give back to the community a little over $16,000. So that is essentially a recap of Ironman weekend. If you go to the next slide, this is just our shameless plug that this upcoming weekend on Sunday is the Waco Rowing Regatta, so the second annual race. And so if you didn't get to go last year, make sure that you go out there to the Suspension Bridge, Brazos Park East, and you're going to be able to watch some incredible competitors. So any questions, comments?
Questions?
No, my only comment is, of course, they go to the mammoth site. Where else in North America are you going to see a complete herd of Colombian mammoths? Come on, man.
Absolutely. But there's so many other different great places too. Dr. Pepper Museum is right there downtown. And so again, I was just really encouraged by that data.
Great. All right. Thank you, Mike.
Terrific, thank you.
All right. Okay, next, we're gonna talk about Waco Solid Waste, Transfer Station. Who's gonna speak to that? Cody. Cody. How are you today?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Fine, thank you.
Well, thank y'all for the opportunity to provide an update. I'm Cody Patel, the Director of Solid Waste at the City of Waco. Today, we're going to be talking about the transfer station. You can go to the next slide. So we're going to talk about the location, the permitting status, the construction timeline, as well as some of the operations and site plan. You can go to the next slide. So the transfer station location is scheduled to, or we're planning it to go on a closed inactive landfill site, MSW 1039. It has been inactive since the late 80s. This is along South University Parks and FM 3400, which is a TxDOT roadway. And it's at the corner of that South University Parks and Radel Road. Next slide. So here is the permitting, design, and construction schedule, all in one. So we have completed, there's really two steps to the permitting process. There's the development permit modification, which allows us to start construction of a transfer station, and then a transfer station registration, which allows us to own and operate a transfer station. We have completed the first step of that, which we've received our development permit modification from TCEQ. The review process was pretty simple overall. They did a good job of communicating any issues they saw and were very responsive, so we were able to work through that pretty quickly. And we have submitted the transfer station registration to TCEQ a few weeks ago, and that is under review. And then during that same process, we are going through the design. We have SES engineers and Walker Partners as our consultants on this project, are both working on different aspects of the design. And then we're looking to finish up the design. We're about 90% going to final here pretty soon, looking at reviewing that package. And then we will push out our first construction bids towards the end of this year, starting construction in early 2024. We anticipate that taking somewhere around 9 to 12 months, depending on weather, but looking at getting our inspection from TCEQ around the beginning of 2025 and opening a transfer station in early 2025. And that puts us ahead of that date of the new landfill MSW 24 opening, as well as that red line you see, which is when we anticipate our existing landfill to fill up and reach capacity. Next slide. So here is the site plan for our transfer station. The property is pretty flat. There's a little bit of a hill in the middle because it was a landfill, but we are moving the entrance a little bit further south, just based on discussions with TxDOT. It kind of eases the how close some of those driveways are along that on FM 3400. We are working with TxDOT to get a LOSA agreement, which is a local on-system agreement that allows us to construct roadway improvements for a TxDOT roadway. So we are adding a left turn lane in the southbound direction for additional traffic coming into that site. But then the rest of the site, that's the overview. You can see we'll have 2 scales coming in. Right now, if you go out to our landfill, you've probably experienced wait times going out there just because there's 1 scale in, 1 scale out. And so adding that additional scale will speed that process up and help us process folks a little bit more efficiently. And then once you do get through the scales, then we have pretty much 2 separate operations. We're going to have the transfer station building, which will be an enclosed structure that will take most of your commercial waste, or pretty much all of your commercial waste, trash trucks, roll-off trucks, different things like that. But anybody hand unloading would be pushed to the Citizens Convenience Station for safety reasons, keeping them away from heavy equipment and the congestion of that in the building and the operation. Next slide. So here's a rendering of that transfer station. So it's 4 bays. It looks the exact same on the other side, so that will allow us to either pull straight through with our customers and our operation, or segregate the building into 2 different operations. It just gives us a little bit of freedom, but it is an at-grade facility. Most transfer stations are a full-depth tunnel, so they have a tunnel, they push waste into these trucks. We can't do that here because it is on top of waste, so we're going to be building up rather than digging any type of tunnel or anything like that. So the operation will be, we'll pile it up on that concrete floor where it's all contained, and then load that waste into semi-trucks and haul it to a landfill. Next slide. So here is the improvements to FM 3400. Might be hard to see, but that's that left turn lane in the southbound direction. It's split in two, but the first part is right at the beginning of our property, and then the second image is, you see that gap in the striping, that is the entrance of our facility. And then it'll transition immediately after our new driveway to just a 2-lane roadway again. Next slide. So this is an overview of the solid waste operations in the future. You have our existing landfill at the bottom, MSW 948A, which is reaching capacity. You have our new transfer station, the MSW 1039, and then MSW 1646A is Lacey Lakeview Landfill, which is reaching capacity, but they are going through an expansion process right now. And then at the top of the screen, you'll see our MSW 2400 landfill. And so just to wrap up, talking about where, you can go to the next slide, talking about operations. Here's our current operations. We have curbside collection or commercial collection at businesses with dumpsters. But any recyclable materials are going to our materials recovery facility, or a MRF, which is Sunbright. That won't change. And then any waste that we're collecting right now, we're direct hauling to the landfill. Next slide. And so with the addition of the transfer station, we're still taking our recyclables to Sunbright, and then any waste is going to be direct hauled to the transfer station, which is then going to be combined and loaded into semi-trucks and direct hauled to the new landfill. So with that, I will take any questions or comments, concerns.
Y'all compact that to put them on the trucks? Destination?
No, not a little bit. I mean, you grab them with a track hoe that has a grapple, and you're going to put it into a truck. So there's only so much you can do to compact it. And then also you would have issue if you get it too compact, you're going to have a tough time getting it out. So no, we do a little bit, but it's not too much. You're getting about 2 to 2.5, sometimes 3 trash trucks on one of those trucks. Mm-hmm. So we're reducing the overall traffic that's going to be at the new landfill.
What's the weight, what would be the total weight on those trucks going out?
Of the transfer trucks?
Yeah.
24 tons is the DOT max. But that's for any, if it's sand, if it's rock.
You can get to that, though,
Mhm.
right?
Yep. Yes, sir. And we'll have, when trucks are being loaded, they'll be on top of scales to make sure that we aren't exceeding those limits, because there are licenses online, as well as we don't want to be tearing up roads. There's a reason there's weight limits on the streets.
Any questions?
We've looked at this at city council, obviously, many times. And I just like the construct that we have now. I think it gives us more flexibility having the transfer station. If we ever do get, if there's becomes an issue, we can go outsource parts of these functions, rather than just have our city doing all the work. Taking it to the transfer station, taking it from the transfer station to landfill. I think it just gives us more flexibility, which I like. And helps us stay in market cost-wise too.
Absolutely.
So I like the way this has turned out.
Thank you.
So is there any public access at the new,
Is the transfer station?
Transfer station?
not at the transfer station,
The
but at
landfill?
new- at the
Yeah,
new
absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like the old, just like,
Yep. Yeah, and for those that are going to be hand unloading, it's probably better to go to the new landfill location, just so you stay out of the traffic of the transfer station. But the plan is to put a convenience station at the transfer station to have that ability for citizens. But yeah,
including brush.
we are unsure if we're taking brush just yet. We have it in the permit to take it, but when you're hauling brush, it's pretty inefficient because there's so much air in there. You're not able to compact it unless we were able to mulch it or grind it on site, which we're looking at with TxDOT to have that option. But right now, we're not exactly sure if we'll take brush at the transfer station.
I just want to say that, and we talked about transfer station, great presentation, but we talked about the landfill. We didn't really even touch on the landfill, and Bradley and Paul and Jennifer and so many other city staff members. Deidre's been a part of this for years. Ryan's been a part of this. So many city staff members have been working on this around the clock.
for many years now, and it's really coming together nicely. And I just really appreciate all of your diligence and efforts and literally years of work on a cumbersome, legally challenging, politically challenging issue. And I really am proud of the outcome. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Thank you very much.
Job, Cody.
All right, next is McLennan County Judicial Center and T.J. Jackson, who is head of our maintenance operations.
Good
Do
afternoon.
a presentation.
For those of you that don't know, I'm TJ Jackson, the Facilities Director for McLennan County. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Judicial Center that we've got going on in the old downtown jail behind us. So commissioners approved a project to turn the old downtown jail into a fully functional courthouse. So some aspects of the project, it's about 42,000 square feet worth of renovation and about 16,000 square feet of additional space in the building itself for an outside unit. We're going to house 5 courts. We're going to relocate the district clerk out of the annex building into this new facility. The aspect that we're really trying to concentrate on for the building itself is security. So currently our judges park out in the parking lot across the street with everybody else. Well, they'll have a secured parking area that they come into and park their vehicle. So everything will be completely secure and out of the sight of the general public. Same thing with detainees. They'll enter the facility through the basement, go up to operation floors and into holding cells on 2 different areas. So go to the next slide. Our other big concentration for this project is going to be the alleyway. Of course, everybody's seen the alleyway. It's very contentious. Most of you have probably tripped in it at one time or another. So this is really be a concentrated effort on a public plaza coming in from 5th Street and 6th Street. So we're really going to try to make that really nice. Next slide, basic design on what a courtroom could look like.
Awesome. Beautiful.
That's about it. Pretty easy. We're from 40,000 to 52,000 or $52 million. So.
Any questions? One of the biggest projects done by the county in a while. Pardon me?
Timeline. I was gonna ask
Real long time.
Real long thing.
A while.
A while.
We hope to.
Yeah, so we're probably about 20% into conceptual. We're probably a year and a half away from final design, and then 3 years out from construction.
Okay.
Ending of construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've been getting a lot of input, some invited. From the judges, been quite interesting. But they've all got their idea, not necessarily the same idea, but about how a courtroom ought to look and how it ought to handle. I think they're real impressed with the safety, security side. And then the other thing is when you have witnesses and that are there or family members that are folks involved, during recess, they kind of all get out in the same area and use the same restroom. That's a dangerous situation. And so a lot of attention has been put on trying to separate those groups as well. And then the gallery seating, you know, will be adequate or more, but, you know, 50 to 65, I think, somewhere like that in the gallery seating. And then possibly some remote viewing as well. Technology is a big part of what we're looking at in this, not only for this facility, but how we handle pleas and those things where the individuals incarcerated in our jail and have a lot of remote work done there. And so, and then the local bar will have more input into it. We also house the law library, and so that will be, we'll put a lot of attention on making it much more usable and impressive than maybe what we have now, even though libraries are changing. What I hear, I don't go into many. But anyhow,
That's awesome.
it's we think it's going to be great. Anything,
So the firm that I just want to mention the name of the firm, the Brinkley Sargent Winnington.
yeah,
They're a national, that this is what they do. They,
Right.
they build courts and
Okay.
they've done
judicial
84
facilities.
courtrooms,
Okay.
Yeah,
but they also have an office here in Waco.
yeah, they do.
Too, so. The general contractor is John W. Irwin. And so local contractor, local subs, all those things. Thank you, TJ.
Great, appreciate it. Good work.
Okay, meeting dates, for, 2024. I don't have a report on that, but I think they're on this schedule.
We can just circulate that.
Yeah, we'll
later.
send that out.
Great.
Send that out to you. Okay. Any ideas for future agenda items? All right, if you do, please submit those in, to either city secretary or to Justin Chapman. And, we'll get those lined up.
I'll say, if I recall at the last meeting, the county had a request for a future agenda item regarding water levels and water restrictions, and fortunately, we don't have to have that conversation this go around thanks to the rain we got,
We'll
so.
talk, next one will be about floods.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes.
Well, and amazingly, even though Lake Waco had a lot of water, there's still a lot of areas that didn't catch a lot of water. It just so happened that floodplain really was advantaged in this last rain. But I know where out on my place, my stock ponds and tanks are only still about half full. So, with as much moisture as there is in the ground, if we get some more rain, I think we will get some runoff, and they are predicting, wet fall, so that's good. All right, anything else to come before the group? If not, we stand adjourned.
Recording stopped.
Those visuals look great. I'm excited for that.